Hi, good evening, welcome back to the channel. I thought before we cracked on with the video from today's ride, tomorrow's ride as it will be, I thought I'd let you know how things went today with the search for the petrol cap. Well, I tried, it turned into an epic. I ended up going around about 6 or 7 different bike stores before I managed to find one. I did find one. I got an Acerbis 50mm screw-on cap which fits exactly. I've just got to plug the little vent hole in it and I should be good to go. But this morning when I woke up, my elbow, which I scraped the other day when I fell off, had started to hurt, and I was thinking that I might have picked up a little bit of an infection in it. So I never did anything about it. I ignored it, which I shouldn't have done, and I carried on the search for the fuel cap. Anyway, got to the end of the day, booked into the hotel. My arm was really hurting. I took my armour off and had a look at it, and it was well swollen. So I ended up going to the chemist to get some antibiotic cream, and she said to me, go to the local medical centre. Absolutely brilliant. I went to the local medical centre. I was there for about an hour in total. Got in, was seen by a doctor, had a tetanus jab, they redressed my elbow and gave me a prescription for oral antibiotics, which I guess is what I need. I don't think the cream's going to do that much. Anyway, that's enough of my bullshit. I've got a fuel cap. I'm still in one piece. The bike's running okay. Let's ride some trails. Well, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. We are just to the north of the town of Besalu, still on section 17, and we're heading up towards France. With any luck, we'll get to France sometime this afternoon. I've had a look at the map. Trails at the moment are pretty much like this. Big, wide sections of double track. But I know there are some problematic regions that are going to come up later on as we progress into the afternoon. I'm taking it easy today because of all the rubbish that happened yesterday, and if it does get too difficult, I'll probably turn round and go round by road. The last thing I want to do is come off the bike and end up bashing my elbow and putting my recovery back about 2 or 3 days. At the moment it's not feeling too bad, and I'm definitely feeling better than I did this morning when I woke up feeling like I had a bit of a hangover for some reason. But anyway, I'm not going to waffle on because you've already listened to me waffle from yesterday. So that's it. We're going to crack on now, and yeah, let's ride some trails. I'd like to start today's ride with an apology if I can. Unfortunately, when I set the camera up this morning, I neglected to plug the microphone all the way into the media mod. So unfortunately, the only audio we've got for today's ride comes from the rear facing camera. But in the places where we have slightly more interesting things going on, I will record a voiceover just to make the video run slightly better and that you can understand exactly what's going on. But yeah, that's it. Sit back and, as usual, enjoy the ride. Okay, first proper stop of the day, and this church is the Church of San Feliu di Bueda, and it's an 11th century Romanesque basilica. Basilica means it's got 3 aisles, well, 2 aisles on either side and a nave running down the centre, and it was probably built around about the time of the Norman conquest in England. Now, this church would be interesting in and of itself, but the reason why it becomes particularly interesting, especially from a historical standpoint, is because of these 2 pillars. Now, they're sort of Greco-Roman influenced pillars, but these were made by Celts here in northern Spain, so pagans. And what it does, first of all, is illustrates the amount of cross-pollination, cultural cross-pollination that happened in the ancient world. Now, they're pagan columns, and they more than likely came from a pagan temple, probably a temple that actually stood on this site before the church was built. So they're pre-Christian. But what's interesting is how it's a shining example of how the early Christians would reuse and co-opt symbolism and pagan mythology into the wider Christian story. I mean, think about Christmas as being a prime example of that. Now, over here on the right hand side, on the top of this column, we've got what I believe, looking at the length of the legs and the neck, is a heron. And this was particularly important to pagan Celts. It was associated with the goddess Rhiannon, and it had deep meaning, patience, wisdom, but more interestingly, it was a bridge, it acted as a bridge between the worlds, and in such a way it functions almost exactly like a church does, being a bridge between the earthly and the spiritual. Now, here on the left hand side we've got what's called a triquetra. Now, this is a Celtic knot. You see them all over the Celtic pagan world, and it symbolises a number of things: the 3 ages of life, so youth, middle and old age, the 3 realms of land, sea and sky, but more importantly for the Christians it would have symbolised the Trinity, so Father, Son and Holy Ghost. So a rather obvious symbol that early Christians could just go, we'll nick that, and they did. Then we've got the snake, another really common pagan symbol for rebirth, fertility and again wisdom. And then we've got the ram, which stands for strength, masculinity and endurance. So all qualities really that you would want to associate with your new religion, with Christianity, when you're trying to get it established. And they'll be familiar as well to all the local pagans, so it's not like you're giving them something completely new. So what you've got to remember is the people who built this church, they would have known exactly what those columns meant and represented, and it would have been a deliberate choice for them to incorporate them in the building of their new church.